get started. I'd like to call to order the Town of Abingdon Planning Commission meeting, October the 25th of 2021. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone that is here this evening. We will try to go through our agenda rather quickly, but we'll certainly take our time and listen to everyone that would like to address the commission. There'll be two opportunities to address the commission from the general public. First will be during public comment time, which comes just after approval of the minutes, as you can see on the agenda. And the second opportunity will be as we reach various matters that are on the agenda tonight, such as the certificate of appropriateness that we'll be looking at tonight. First of all, if we could have a roll call for attendance purposes, please.
Well, maybe I'll just announce who I am. I'm Diana Rice. I'm the new Community Development Director. So I will be going through the items tonight, and we'll start with roll call. So Mr. Pennington.
Present.
Okay. Mr. Weaver.
Here.
Okay. Mr. Anderson.
Present.
Okay. Mr. Sproles.
Present.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
And Mr. Schuman.
Here.
And Mr. Austin.
Here.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. We have a quorum for tonight's meeting. We'll proceed on. Next, and first of all, let me say welcome and thank you for being here tonight. Absolutely. So look forward to working with you. Next on our agenda tonight is the approval, even though I'm a short timer, I want you to know. Yeah, I'm out of here before long. Approval of minutes. We have the September 27th, 2021 minutes. I think everyone has received those, had an opportunity to review them. Are there any additions or corrections to those? If not, I'd be pleased to entertain a motion to accept them as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Any additional comment or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Mr. Chairman, I need to abstain. I was not at the meeting.
Yes, sir. Please note that Mr. Schuman has abstained from that vote. All right, as I said a moment ago, next on our agenda tonight is public comment time. This is an opportunity for anyone from the public to address the Planning Commission tonight. Please note that your comments are to be limited to 3 minutes. And we do have a sign-up sheet. I don't believe anyone signed up on the sign-up sheet. But never fear, it's never too late. If someone would like to approach the podium and address matters, we'd be pleased to listen to you. All right, seeing no one moving toward the podium in a quick fashion, we will move on to the next item, which is our certificate of appropriateness. This is a certificate of appropriateness for Wahlberg Construction, 190 East Main Street here in Abingdon. The owner, Nathan Burke, is the representative here tonight. This certificate of appropriateness is to renovate the facade at the Washington Crossing Shopping Center, located at 534 and 2588 Cummings Street here in Abingdon. The tax map ID number 105A-2-16. Is there anyone that can review this matter for us? Are you prepared to do that? I did not want to put you on the spot.
Well, Diana Rice, Community Development Director. I think I've just dove right in with all of these things, so I have a very gracious applicant as the first item that I'm bringing for you tonight. So, a good transition. As you mentioned, it's a request for a certificate of appropriateness for a facade upgrade. The property is within the general business B2 zoning. It's also within the entrance corridor. Therefore, it's required to have you all review it and make a determination. So in the staff report, you can see I put a little bit of a vicinity map in. I also took a screenshot so that you could see, why you're seeing this, because it's not, it's not right up on the road. So one might question, it's not right in the entrance corridor. But we definitely can see it from that corridor. So the access is going to continue to be from Cummings Street. The properties that are in the area are B2 and AFOS. The parcel does slope downward away southeast from Cummings Street, giving the facade the ability to really be seen from that entrance corridor as you're looking down into it. So We have quite a few items in the zoning ordinance that are required to be reviewed when somebody wants to do a new facade improvement. So I'll just mention a couple of them as we go through here. So one of the things is that the applicants did provide a site plan with plantings that you can see in their application, and the rendering showed the proposed parking lot landscaping. So one of the conditions of approval for their final site plan, when it comes back to us at the building permit stage, will be that we need to have a final site plan that identifies what planting materials that they're choosing to use in their final plan. From what I can tell, and from what you can see in your application, the landscaping provided appears to do what is required by the ordinance, which is to soften the visual impact of the existing development. And it looks to me like it does that. There is an existing buffer with natural vegetation, and there's a water course, Town Creek, that's adjacent to the east of this. So no portion of this building there's a portion of the parking lot that's in the floodplain, but the portions of the building that are gonna be updated are really outside of that. So if they were to do a full structural alteration in the future, they might have to come through and actually get a floodplain permit process going. So the applicants did provide sample signage, which they will speak a little bit more to that. They don't have a final signage plan yet. It does reflect a consistent style and color scheme, which is really what the ordinance looks like it's asking for. They did provide a facade that is consistent with materials and colors. One thing is that when we get the final plans, the mechanical equipment is required to be screened. So at the building permit stage, we'll make sure that they have screening on that. Loading docks, trash storage facilities cannot be visible from the entrance corridor. And the facade treatment is meant to provide variation to the architectural detailing and upgrade what you see as the existing structure out there. So the applicants did provide this facade plan. The updates appear to meet the design review guidelines. A couple of conditions that we had placed that they will need to do as they're coming through the building permit is, again, in reference to the floodplain, all work with the exception of the corner architectural feature indicated on the site plan shall be performed outside of the mapped floodplain, and should any need arise to perform work in the mapped floodplain, the applicant shall first apply for a special use permit. And that's a condition I worked on with Tyler, our town engineer. 2, submittal of a final landscape plan with identified plant material shall occur prior to the issuance of the approved building permit. 3, submittal of a final lighting plan shall occur prior to the issuance of an approved building permit. And 4, submittal of an overall signage plan will occur prior to the issuance of the individual sign permits. So with that, staff is recommending approval of what has been submitted. The applicant is here to add any additional information and to answer your questions, but if you have any questions for me, I can attempt to answer them, but he's probably much more knowledgeable, so.
Does anyone have any questions? Thanks,
Okay.
We'll give you an A+ on your
Very
first presentation. Thank you. Thank you, sir. If you just state your name and your business address, so we'll have it for our record.
Yes, sir. My name's Nathan Berg. I'm one of the principals at Wahlberg Construction at 190 East Main Street here in Abingdon. And thank you, Mayana. That was a great summary of the project and a very thorough, just kind of a snapshot of what we're going to be doing. Did you guys have any questions?
Just one, as I understand it, you're gonna be doing the facade for all those buildings except the Hampton Inn, all those?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, the Hampton Inn's
right.
brand new and beautiful, and so
Right.
Really the one of the main kind of points of renovating the facade is kind of making it all look like one new development. You know, you have the beautiful new Hampton Inn there. Well, we want the rest of the center to match and kind of fit in with that new architecture.
Don't you want to include the restaurant in that?
Not yet. What we really want to do, something also that is worth mentioning is that for this phase of the project and the building permit that we will be applying for only relates to the facade. The site improvements such as landscaping, paving, and those types of things will be applied for at a later date. Right now, we're just trying to get that facade started and get that going, and then we'll kind of step back and there'll be a more in-depth process involved in getting everything that we need to for the site plan. So this is just the facade improvements. We won't be doing any landscaping in this phase.
I'm not asking you to divulge any confidentialities, but what are the prospects of being able to connect this development to the road that services Food City such that the exit can be at the traffic light as opposed to where it is currently?
And I don't mean to be coy, but what I really would like to do is focus just on the facade improvements for this meeting. And honestly, I don't have the knowledge to really speak expertly to that. My kind of the scope of our work involves just the facade. That's what I've focused on. So I'd hate to just throw a half-baked answer out there regarding the rest of the overall development and site plan. So I'm not trying to dodge the question. I honestly don't have the information in my mind right now. Thank you.
And I appreciate that as an answer, but I also am quite curious, to me, I view it as one overall project in that
Absolutely.
area.
Right.
And certainly having that access would enhance the property, facade or
Certainly.
without facade.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And I would give you a better answer. I just don't have the knowledge to speak to that.
I understand. All right, anyone else have any questions relating to the facade only? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Is there anyone else that would care to speak to this certificate of appropriateness? Anyone else care to bring any information to the Planning Commission? All right, thank you very much. Let's have some discussion amongst the members as to how you want to proceed from here. You do see on page 9, of course, as was referred to a moment ago, there are suggestions of conditions of approval that are listed. There are 4 of them that are listed there, and she went over those with us a moment ago.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we accept the certificate of appropriateness as requested, with the caveat that the requirements listed on page 9 be included in that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Schuman. Is there a second to that motion?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Weaver has seconded that. Is there any additional discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote on that, please.
Mr. Pennington?
Aye.
Mr. Weaver?
Aye.
Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Sproles?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Schuman?
Aye.
Mr. Austin?
Aye. All right, that's been unanimously approved as a certificate of appropriateness with the 4 conditions that were listed by staff. So thank you very much for your presentation. All right. Next on our agenda tonight is general discussion. First of all, the zoning and subdivision ordinance.
All right, so one of the first tasks that I was assigned was this as a big project that you all have been working on for a while. I will tell you that what I have done is I'm going through it with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that primarily the items that are identified in there are things that we can enforce. I feel like that's a big part to the equation, is not having codes that are so sort of voluminous that you're out there and it's very unenforceable. I think that's one of the key things that I have been doing, looking at the ordinance. The other thing that I felt that needs to have some additional reworking is the landscaping ordinance. It's quite rigorous to go from basically no landscaping requirements that we have right now to extremely specific. So I want them to tailor that a little bit more to the community, ensuring that the entrance corridor is protected, but also making sure that as applicants come in, it is a process that we can, work with people to get a great landscape as they work on their projects. The other thing that has been interesting is probably just in the 3.5 weeks I've been here, we have had a lot of talk about short-term rentals, so I understand that that's one of the #1 topics that we're looking at. And this kind of leads directly into the next item of discussion, but I spoke with the Berkeley group, and if you do want to move the meeting to the 29th, they do have the capacity to come and speak to you for the next phase of the ordinance update. So I will be giving them my comments and suggestions. Primarily, again, like I said, it's just to make sure that we have a ordinance that we can enforce, and I am a person that does not like a lot of flexibility when it comes to, decisions by the zoning administrator. I'd rather, if you want something, that it says it right there, and we have the ability to ask applicants to provide it. So, so that's where it is right now. And then, the next item will just be a decision as to whether or not you choose to have a meeting on the 29th, and I will inform them to come to that. So, I don't know if there's any specific questions regarding this to me.
Anyone have any questions regarding the status of the zoning and subdivision ordinance?
Just a brief comment. Up until last month, I was on the Historical Preservation Review Board, and landscaping within the historic district is something that falls outside the board's jurisdiction, and it's something that we really need to define better, at least within the historic district.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing. There's basically very little requirements now, and this new, the new potential update is quite site-specific, and so I would like to bring back, have a little more discussion on that with you all before we wrap it in. But right now, there's some pretty specific things like, 4 deciduous trees, 3 evergreen trees, 12 bushes per 30 feet, and some of it is just, it seems like it's there needs to be a little bit of an in-between, because it's a very costly thing for developers to put in landscaping that may or may not, really assist in that. So I'm looking out for us as the town. I'm looking out for the developers, and trying to find, a middle ground for some of that. So, but yeah, if we have any other questions, feel free to ask me about it. If you have a special section that you're, concerned about as well. I will say that a couple of oddities that we may still need to add. One is that we went today, Monday morning, the first site visit, straight out of the bat, was to a facility that's providing, they want to provide grow equipment / fertilizer, and also selling strains of CDB oil. But with the upcoming recreational and dispensary question that we have on our fingertips, I think that we should probably at least address it in the code. And only because, we're already seeing an influx of these types of facilities. So I will, my main goal is to use my 20 years of experience to make sure that as I'm reading through this, we have something that is, really robust and can last us, but also I'm a big proponent of regulations being a living document. So if we find that we need to do an amendment, let's not be shy of doing that to fix things. So that's what I've got.
All right, thank you very much. As she mentioned, our next regular meeting is scheduled for November the 22nd. That Thanksgiving is the 25th, so that's the Monday of Thanksgiving week. The suggested date is November 29th. What is the pleasure of the commission in regards to that? Want to do the 22nd or the 29th?
29th is Hanukkah. I don't know if that matters, but
I can be here either one, 22nd or 29th.
Either, yeah,
I
Either
can
way
only
for
be here
me.
the 22nd.
You can be here the 22nd. Mr. King?
I'm flexible either one.
Mr. Anderson?
Before the turkey.
No, not until the 29th.
That was 3 days before. I think,
I might be
the
asleep.
22nd is fine.
We'll leave it on the 22nd then, as chairman, I'll direct you to do it on the 22nd. All right, any old business or matters that are not on the agenda that need to come before the commission tonight?
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Chairman, if I might, I know you are a short timer, and just as a member of the planning commission who's worked with you over the years, I think it's important for us to thank you for your service, particularly you have served as chairman at some difficult times, and I, for one, appreciate what you've done, and I think the other members of the planning commission do as well.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you very much, I appreciate it. It has been my pleasure to serve for the last 7 years. And, I've enjoyed it. I'm excited about Abingdon and the things that are going on in Abingdon. I want us to keep moving in a positive direction in all aspects. And it's been a pleasure to serve with each of you all and others who have come and gone during this time. So thank you for that opportunity very much so. All right, anything else announcement-wise? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. All right, thank you very much and have a good evening.
And you too, my brother.